You have stopped explaining yourself. Have you noticed that? It wasn't a conscious decision. You didn't wake up one morning and vow to silence your voice. It happened slowly, like the dimming of a light in a room you no longer use. Someone misunderstands you, perhaps a friend, a partner, or a colleague, and where you once would have fought to clarify, to defend your image, to make sure they saw you, now you just let it slide. You let them be wrong. You let the silence hang there, heavy and awkward. You have stopped chasing the things that used to make your heart race. The promotions, the attention, the social validation, the need to be the smartest person in the room. It all feels distant now. Like watching a movie you've seen 1,000 times. You know the plot, you know the ending, and you just can't bring yourself to care about the characters anymore. People around you are starting to worry. They ask if you are depressed. They ask if you are tired. They tell you that you've changed, that you've lost your spark. They look at you with that pitying gaze, the one the living reserve for the dying, and in a way, they are right. You are dying, or rather, something in you has already died. But here is the truth that the world, the system, and your own terrified ego will never tell you. This death is not a tragedy. This numbness isn't a malfunction. It is the most significant spiritual event of your life. You are not broken. You are waking up in a burning house, and for the first time, you have decided to stop pretending that you aren't on fire. This is the end of the performance, and it terrifies you, because if you aren't the performer, who are you? Let's go deeper. The feeling you are experiencing, that profound, echoing hollowness, is what the existentialists and the deep psychologists spent their entire lives trying to map. It is the moment the anesthesia wears off. For years, perhaps decades, you have been running on a fuel mixture of dopamine, validation, and fear. The system, call it the matrix, call it the societal script, call it the they, as Martin Heidegger did, is designed to keep you in a state of constant, low-level agitation. It needs you to want things. It needs you to fear irrelevance. It needs you to define your worth by your utility, your appearance, and your accumulation. When you are deeply embedded in the system, you feel alive in the same way a prey animal feels alive while being hunted. Your heart beats fast. Your mind races. You are constantly scanning the horizon for threats or opportunities. You call this ambition. You call this passion. But it is merely a biological stress response weaponized by a culture that profits from your dissatisfaction. What has happened now is that the mechanism has jammed. The carrot on the stick no longer looks appetizing, and the stick no longer scares you. You have looked at the prize, the corner office, the perfect relationship, the applause, the number in the bank account, and you have realized with a sinking feeling in your gut that it will not save you. Schopenhauer spoke of the will to live, that blind, ceaseless striving that drives all of nature. He argued that this will is the source of all suffering because it is a hunger that can never be filled. As long as you are trapped in the cycle of desire, you swing like a pendulum between pain when you don't have what you want, and boredom when you finally get it. You are currently stuck in the boredom phase, but it is a special kind of boredom. It is existential fatigue. You aren't just bored with your job or your hobbies, you are bored with yourself. You're bored with the story of you. The ego, that little narrative construct you've spent years polishing, feels heavy. It feels like a costume that doesn't fit anymore. If this resonates, consider subscribing. This is where the danger lies, because the system hates a vacuum. When you stop chasing, when you stop reacting, you become a glitch. The people around you, who are still deeply asleep in the simulation of desire, will try to pull you back in. They will offer you solutions. Go to the gym, they say. Start a new project, they suggest. Maybe you need a vacation, they offer. They want you to fix the symptom. They want you to numb the void. But the void is not the enemy. The void is the teacher. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote about the last man, the human being who has invented happiness, the one who blinks and seeks only comfort, small pleasures, and safety. The last man is incapable of greatness because he is incapable of suffering. He is incapable of self-overcoming. When you feel this death inside you, it is your inner overman attempting to strangle the last man. It is a violent internal coup d'etat. You are shedding the skin of the last man. You are realizing that the comfort you sought was a cage, but because you don't yet have a new skin, you feel naked, you feel raw. You interpret this vulnerability as a loss of self, but it is actually the removal of a parasite. The parasite is the social conditioning that told you your value was external. It told you that if you just achieved X, Y, and Z, you would finally feel at home in the world. You achieved them. Or you realized you never would, and you still feel homeless. This is the great confrontation. Albert Camus said, "There is only one really serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide." Now, he didn't necessarily mean physical suicide, though that is the darkest edge of this thought. He meant the judgment of whether life is worth living when stripped of its illusions. When the stage lights are turned off and the audience leaves, and you are standing alone in the dark theater of your consciousness, is it still worth it? Most people run from this question. They run into alcoholism. They run into mindless scrolling. They run into affairs. They run into obsessive fitness. They will do anything, absolutely anything, to avoid sitting in that empty theater. They treat the void as a monster. But you are tired of running. That's why you are watching this. That's why you clicked. You are standing in the center of the stage, in the dark, and you are realizing that the silence isn't empty, it's pregnant. Let's look at this through the lens of end-of-life regrets. Bronnie Ware, a palliative care nurse, recorded the dying regrets of her patients. The number one regret was not, "I wish I had made more money," or "I wish I had been more famous." It was, "I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me." Think about that. The life others expected of me. That is the life that is currently dying inside you, the depression you feel. It is the grief for the fake self. It is the mourning process for a mask. You have spent your life contorting yourself into shapes that please your parents, your teachers, your bosses, your culture. You have amputated parts of your soul to fit into the boxes provided by the system. And now, the box is breaking. The pain you feel is the pain of blood returning to a limb that has been asleep for decades. It is the pins and needles of the soul. Imagine a diver who has spent his entire life in a shallow pool, convinced that the pool is the entire ocean. He swims laps. He competes with others. He measures his worth by how fast he can touch the wall. Then, one day, the bottom of the pool cracks open. The water drains out into a dark, bottomless abyss below. The diver is terrified. He clings to the tiles. He tries to patch the crack. He mourns the loss of the shallow water. But the crack is the gateway to the real ocean. You are not losing your life. You are losing your limitation. However, we must be careful. There is a trap here, a fatal trap. When this death begins, this detachment from worldly desires, the ego tries to hijack it. It tries to turn your detachment into a badge of honor. You become the misunderstood loner. You become the cynic. You look down on the sheep who are still chasing their dreams. You wrap yourself in a cloak of intellectual superiority. I see the truth, you tell yourself, and they are all blind. This is just another costume. This is just another way for the ego to survive. Cynicism is not wisdom. It is just a cowardly way of being disappointed. It is the last man pretending to be a philosopher. True death of the ego is not loud. It is not arrogant. It is humble. It is quiet. It is the realization that you are not better than the people chasing the illusions. You are just done with the chase. Let's talk about the biological trickery of the system. Your brain is wired for dopamine. It craves the next thing. When you stop feeding it the cheap hits of validation and consumerism, it goes into withdrawal. You feel sluggish. You feel a lack of motivation. You interpret this as a problem. You think, I need to get my drive back. No, you do not. Drive in the modern context is usually just a neurotic compulsion to escape the present moment. We are taught that being driven is a virtue. But driven by what? Driven by fear? Driven by inadequacy? Driven by a desperate need to prove you exist? The goal is not to regain that frantic drive. The goal is to find a new fuel source entirely. Epicurus, the ancient Greek philosopher, often potentially misunderstood as a hedonist, actually taught that the highest good is ataraxia, a state of serene calmness, untroubled by mental anxiety. He didn't want you to chase wild pleasures. He wanted you to eliminate false desires. He taught that most of our pain comes from wanting things that are unnatural and unnecessary. The death you are feeling is the death of the unnatural desires. You are realizing that the fancy car, the number of followers, the impressive job title, they are empty calories. They do not nourish the soul. And because you haven't yet found what does nourish the soul, you feel like you are starving. If this resonates, consider subscribing. So how do you navigate this transition? How do you live when the old world has died but the new one hasn't been born yet? First, you must stop fighting the numbness. Stop trying to fix your state. When you are in the car and you turn off the ignition and you stare at the garage wall for 10 minutes, unable to move, stay there. Don't pull out your phone. Don't turn on the radio. Just sit. Observe the emptiness. Feel the weight of your body in the seat. This is what Heidegger called dwelling. We rarely dwell. We usually just pass through. We are tourists in our own lives. To dwell is to be present with the discomfort. It is to look the void in the eye and say, I am here. There is a story of a man named Elias. Elias was a high-performing architect. He built skyscrapers. He was obsessed with legacy, with leaving a mark on the skyline. He worked 80 hours a week. He neglected his family. He fueled himself on stress and prestige. Then his father died, and a month later, Elias won a major award for his designs. He stood on the stage, holding the heavy glass trophy, looking out at the applause, and he felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was as if he were holding a block of ice. He went home that night and looked at his drafting table, at the blueprints for his next massive project, and he saw them for what they were, lines on paper, arbitrary, meaningless. For 6 months, Elias could barely get out of bed. He went to work, but he was a ghost. He stopped arguing in meetings. He stopped fighting for his vision. His colleagues thought he had burned out. They thought he was finished. But Elias was undergoing the death we are speaking of. One afternoon, sitting in a park during a lunch break he usually skipped, he watched a leaf fall from a tree. It twisted in the air, caught the light, and landed on the grass. He watched it for 5 minutes, and for the first time in 40 years, he felt a flicker of something real. Not excitement, not pride, but presence. He realized that the leaf was more real than any skyscraper he had ever built. Elias didn't quit his job immediately. He didn't run away to a monastery, but he stopped worshiping the god of ambition. He started designing with a different intention. He stopped trying to impress the critics and started trying to create spaces where humans could feel peace. His work became quieter, simpler, and profoundly more beautiful. He had to die to the architect of egos so he could be born as the architect of spaces. You are Elias. You are holding the trophy and realizing it is just glass. The system tells you that if you stop striving, you will become a loser. It tells you that you will end up destitute and alone. This is the fear tactic of the Matrix. It uses your survival instinct to keep you enslaved to the grind. But look at the natural world. Does a tree strive? Does it have anxiety about its growth? No, it exists. It follows its nature. It grows towards the light, not because it wants to be the best tree, but because that is what it is. When you let the false self die, you begin to move like the tree. You move from a place of integrity, not deficiency. You do things because they are true, not because they are profitable or impressive. This is the concept of Wu Wei in Taoism, effortless action. It is not laziness. It is action aligned with the flow of reality. The system runs on Yu Wei, forced action, friction, struggle. When you stop explaining yourself, you're practicing Wu Wei. You're preserving your energy. You are refusing to cast your pearls before swine. You are realizing that your internal reality is more important than your external reputation. This transition is painful because it involves the destruction of your identity. You have defined yourself by your attachments. I am a lawyer. I am a mother. I am a success. I am a victim. When those attachments dissolve, the question, who am I, hits you like a sledgehammer. You are the awareness that observes the dissolution. You are the space in which the thoughts arise and fade. You are the sky, not the clouds. The death you feel is the clearing of the sky. But be warned, the system will try to seduce you back until your last breath. It will offer you a new distraction just when you are starting to find peace. It will throw a crisis at you. It will tempt you with a shiny new opportunity that strokes your ego. You must develop the discipline of the observer. When the old urges to justify, to chase, to impress arise, you must catch them. You must look at them and say, that is the old program. I don't run that software anymore. It is a lonely path. Kierkegaard said, the crowd is untruth. To find the truth, you must walk alone. You must be willing to be misunderstood. You must be willing to let people think you have lost your mind, or your ambition, or your edge. Let them think what they want. They are watching a movie. You are leaving the theater. There is a visceral reality to this. You might feel physical symptoms, heaviness in the chest, a change in appetite, a desire to sleep more. Your body is recalibrating. It is detoxing from the cortisol of the system. Respect this process. Do not force yourself to be energetic. Oh, if you need to sleep, sleep. If you need to stare at a wall, stare at the wall. You are in the chrysalis. Inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar literally dissolves into a soup. If you opened it up, you wouldn't see a half caterpillar, half butterfly. You would see biological chaos. You are in the soup phase. It is messy. It is unformed, but it is necessary. The most dangerous thing you can do right now is try to reconstruct the caterpillar. So, what are the practical instructions for this phase of death? Embrace the silence. Stop filling every quiet moment with noise. Leave the headphones at home. Drive in silence. Let the thoughts scream until they run out of breath. Starve the beast. Identify the activities that are purely for ego validation, posting on social media for likes, arguing politics to feel superior, buying things to impress strangers. Stop them. Cold turkey. Watch how your ego screams. Watch how it throws a tantrum. Let it scream. Disappoint people. This is the hardest one. You must be willing to let people down if meeting their expectations requires you to betray yourself. If you don't want to go to the party, don't go. If you don't want to take the promotion, don't take it. The guilt you feel is just the system trying to correct your behavior. Connect with the finite. Remember, you are going to die. Not metaphorically, but biologically. Your time is running out. Do you really want to spend your remaining hours explaining yourself to people who don't understand you? Do you want to spend them chasing a plastic carrot? Use the awareness of death to cut through the bullshit. Heidegger called this being towards death. Authentic existence begins when you realize your time is finite. The trivialities fall away. The death of your enthusiasm for the rat race is actually the birth of your respect for your own life. You are not depressed. You are disenchanted. And disenchantment is the best thing that can happen to a human being. It means the spell is broken. The magic trick no longer fools you. You see the wires. You see the mirrors. It is painful to lose the magic. The world looks grayer, colder, harsher, but it is real. And only in the real world can you build something that actually stands. When you stop doing this, when you stop explaining, chasing, performing, something in you has died. Yes, the slave has died. The puppet has died. Now the master can be born. The emptiness you feel is not an empty room. It is an empty canvas. For the first time in your life, the brush is in your hand, and no one is telling you what to paint. Do not panic. Do not rush to fill the space. Stand in the center of the dark theater, take a breath, and wait for your own voice to finally speak. But let us be honest about the waiting. It is excruciating. When you stand in that center stage, stripping away the roles, the scripts, and the expectations, you do not immediately feel free. You feel exposed. You feel a sensation that Jean-Paul Sartre described as nausea. Sartre wasn't talking about an upset stomach. He was talking about the vertigo of absolute freedom. When you realize that accountant, father, good citizen, or successful entrepreneur are just labels, stickers you have pasted onto the raw, chaotic reality of your existence, The world starts to look slippery. Objects lose their names. Routines lose their logic. You look at your hand, and it looks like a strange alien object. You look at the tram moving down the street, and it seems absurd. This is the nausea. It is the dizziness of realizing that there is no scriptwriter in the sky directing your movie. There is only you. And if your life is empty, it is because you have stopped filling it with the system's props, but you haven't yet dared to build your own set. The system, the matrix, thrives on keeping you away from this nausea. It provides you with pre-packaged purposes. Buy this house, and you will be happy. Boom. Marry this person, and you will be complete. Get this promotion, and you will be secure. These are guardrails. They keep you from looking over the edge into the abyss of your own freedom. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop chasing, you are vaulting over the guardrail. You are free falling. And as you fall, you will notice something disturbing. The people around you will get angry. This is a critical checkpoint in your awakening. You might expect that your friends and family would be happy that you are stepping back from the rat race. You might expect them to say, "Good for you, you're taking care of yourself." But often they do the opposite. They become irritable. They critique your laziness. They try to provoke you into a reaction. They poke at your old insecurities. Why? Because your silence holds up a mirror to their noise. When you refuse to participate in the collective delusion, the delusion that stress equals importance, that accumulation equals worth, you become a threat to their reality. If you are right, then they are wrong. If you can be content without the constant dopamine chase, then their entire life strategy is called into question. You are not just changing your habits, you are challenging their theology, the theology of more. So they will try to pull you back. This is not malicious, it is unconscious. It is the system acting through them like a virus. They will say things like, "You've changed," but they say it like an accusation. They will try to guilt trip you into explaining yourself again. Don't you care about us? Don't you care about your potential? Do not bite the hook. Recognize this for what it is. The immune system of the matrix trying to isolate and eliminate the anomaly. You are the anomaly. This phase requires a level of ruthlessness that you have probably been trained to suppress. You have been taught to be nice. You have been taught to be accommodating. But niceness is often just a survival strategy for the weak. It is a way to avoid conflict by submitting to the will of others. Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to interact with society. A healthy persona is a useful tool. It helps us navigate social situations, but most of us have fused with our persona. We think we are the mask. When this internal death happens, the mask cracks, and what lies beneath is not just light and love. It is the shadow. It is the parts of you that you rejected to fit in, your anger, your selfishness, your primal boundaries. This death process is the integration of the shadow. You will find that as you stop chasing external validation, you become less nice, but more kind. Niceness is performative. Kindness is rooted in truth. A nice person smiles while they resent you. A kind person tells you the truth, even if it hurts, because they respect you. You are becoming dangerous, and that is good. A harmless person is not virtuous. They are just helpless. A dangerous person who keeps their sword sheathed, that is virtue. That is meekness in the biblical sense, power under control. The numbness you feel is the transition from being a harmless, nice puppet to being a dangerous, integrated human being. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Let's deepen the metaphor of the biological shift. Consider the lobster. As a lobster grows, its shell becomes a prison. It becomes tight, confining, and painful. To grow, the lobster must retreat under a rock, safe from predators, and shed this shell. For a period of time, it is naked. It is pink, soft, and incredibly vulnerable. If it comes out from under the rock too soon, it will be eaten. If it tries to force the old shell back on, it will die of suffocation. You are currently the soft-shelled lobster under the rock. You feel weak. You feel like the slightest touch could wound you. And you are right. You are vulnerable right now. The system tells you that vulnerability is failure. It tells you to hustle, to grind, to push through. If a soft-shelled lobster tries to hustle in the open ocean, it is dead in minutes. The wisdom of nature tells you to hide. It tells you to rest. It tells you to wait until the new shell hardens. This hiding looks like depression to the outside world. It looks like withdrawal. It looks like giving up. But it is the most aggressive act of growth you can undertake. You are synthesizing a new armor, one that fits your expanded soul. During this time under the rock, you will be forced to confront the second great regret of the dying. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. This regret isn't about the labor itself. Humans are built to work, to create, to exert effort. The regret is about the kind of work. It is about the busy work of the system, the endless emails, the meetings that could have been emails, the accumulation of status symbols that collect dust. You are feeling the death of your worker bee identity. You are realizing that your value is not calculated by your productivity per hour. This is terrifying because we live in a transactional society. What do you do? Is the first question we ask strangers. We are really asking, what is your utility? How much respect should I give you based on your economic output? When you no longer have a quick, impressive answer to, what are you up to? You feel the social shame. Oh, just taking some time, you mumble. You see their eyes glaze over. You see them categorize you as unsuccessful. Let them. This creates a filter. The people who only loved you for your utility, for your status, or for your role in their play, they will fall away. They will drift out of your life. This is not a loss, it is a purification. You are clearing the dead wood from the forest of your life so that new growth can reach the sunlight. But let's not romanticize the pain. It hurts, it feels like grief. Because it is grief, you are grieving the future you thought you would have. You had a picture in your head, the perfect retirement, the accolades, the feeling of making it. That picture was a hallucination planted by advertising and cultural osmosis. Letting it die means accepting that making it is a myth. There is no finish line. There is no moment where the music swells and the credits roll and you feel eternal bliss. There is just this moment, and the next, and the next. If you cannot find peace in the imperfect, messy, mundane now, you will not find it in the fantasy future. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived Auschwitz, argued that man's primary drive is not pleasure, Freud, or power, Adler, but meaning. When we lose meaning, we fall into what he called the existential vacuum. The system floods this vacuum with cheap pleasure, pornography, sugar, endless entertainment, outrage news. These are the fillers. When you stop doing this, when you stop consuming the fillers, you're left staring into the vacuum. It is black, it is deep, it echoes. But Frankl taught that life does not owe you happiness. Life offers you meaning, and meaning is often found in the heaviest burdens, not the lightest pleasures. The death you are feeling is the realization that your previous meanings were shallow. Getting rich is a shallow meaning. Being popular is a shallow meaning. They cannot sustain the weight of a human soul. You are looking for a burden that is worth carrying. This brings us to the concept of amor fati, the love of fate. Nietzsche's formula for greatness, to not just bear what is necessary, but to love it. Right now, your fate feels like stagnation. It feels like a pause. Can you love this pause? Can you love the confusion? Can you say yes to the fact that you have no idea what you are doing? Most people live in a constant state of resistance to the present. They are always mentally 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 years in the future. I'll be happy when you have stopped saying, I'll be happy when, because you have realized it's a lie. This has stripped you of your hope, yes, but hope can be a toxic thing. Hope for a better future can be the enemy of the present reality. As the Greeks knew, hope was the last evil left in Pandora's box. It is the thing that keeps us enduring the torture of the system, thinking maybe tomorrow will be better. Abandon hope. Abandon the hope that the system will reward you. Abandon the hope that someone is coming to save you. When you abandon false hope, you land on the solid ground of despair. And despair, true, philosophical despair, is solid. You can build on it. It is the point where you say, this is it. This is all there is. Now, how shall I live? This is the twist of the awakening. The depression is not the dysfunction. The hope was the dysfunction. The hope kept you sedated. The depression is the withdrawal symptoms of the sedation wearing off. Now let's talk about the specific texture of the pleasure you have lost interest in. You used to enjoy the parties. You used to enjoy the gossip. You used to enjoy the mindless banter. Now, it feels like chewing on cardboard. You sit at a dinner table surrounded by laughter, and you feel like you are behind a glass wall. You hear the words, but they don't land. This is what happens when your vibration shifts. And I don't mean vibration in a woo-woo magical sense. I mean the frequency of your consciousness. You are tuning into a station that broadcasts on a different bandwidth. The people around you are broadcasting on FM. They are talking about events, people, things. You are starting to tune into AM, or perhaps shortwave. You are listening for ideas, for truth, for silence. The interference pattern between these two frequencies creates dissonance. It creates awkwardness. Do not try to force yourself back to the old frequency. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unknow what you know. Once you realize the steak is made of rubber, you cannot go back to enjoying the meal. If this resonates, consider subscribing. So, what is the danger here? The danger is that you stay in the no phase forever. There are two stages to this awakening. Stage one is the great no. You say no to the lies, no to the fake friends, no to the soul-sucking job, no to the explanations. This is where you are now. It is a destructive, clearing fire. Stage two is the great yes. This is where you say yes to what is actually true. Many people get stuck in the great no. They become the bitter hermit. They become the nihilist who says, nothing matters, so why bother? They rot in their own realization. You must use the no to clear space for the yes. But the yes cannot be forced. It must emerge. And it usually emerges from the quietest, smallest places. Remember Elias and the leaf? The yes usually starts with something that small. It might be the feeling of cold water on your face in the morning. It might be the taste of black coffee. It might be the look in your dog's eyes. It might be the satisfaction of fixing a broken door hinge. These are small, non-transactional realities. The system cannot monetize your enjoyment of the wind on your face. Therefore, enjoying the wind is a revolutionary act. You are rebuilding your capacity for joy from the ground up. You are starting with the atoms of experience. The system hooked you on the high fructose corn syrup of joy. Likes, wins, adrenaline. You are now detoxing. You need to learn to taste the subtle sweetness of a simple apple again. This is the Epicurean discipline, to find the richness in the minimal. To realize that if you cannot be content with a quiet room and a simple meal, you will not be content with a palace and a banquet. The palace will just be a larger place to feel anxious in. You are doing the work of a lifetime right now. Do not let anyone tell you that you are wasting time. You are taking apart the engine of your psyche while the car is still moving. It is messy. There is oil everywhere. The car is sputtering. But you are removing the parts that were designed to fail. You are removing the governors that limited your speed. You are removing the tracking devices that reported your location to the system. And in the middle of this teardown, you will encounter the dark night. St. John of the Cross described the dark night of the soul not just as suffering, but as a divine intervention. It is the process where the soul is weaned off the milk of spiritual infancy, so it can eat the meat of spiritual maturity. The infant cries when the bottle is taken away. The infant thinks the mother has abandoned it. The infant doesn't understand that the weaning is an act of love, a preparation for independence. You are the infant. The universe has taken away the bottle, the easy pleasures, the clear path, the validation. You are crying. You feel abandoned. But you are simply being prepared to eat meat. You are being prepared to generate your own sustenance. The death of the external validator means the birth of the internal authority. Imagine a king who has been ruled by his advisors since he was a child. He signs whatever they put in front of him. He goes where they tell him to go. He thinks he is ruling, but he is a figurehead. Then, one day, he wakes up. He realizes the advisors are corrupt. He realizes they are stealing from the treasury. He realizes they don't care about the kingdom. So, he fires them. all of them. Suddenly, the throne room is empty. The king is alone. There is a stack of papers on the desk, and no one to tell him what to sign. He doesn't know how to run the economy. He doesn't know how to command the army. He is terrified. The silence in the throne room is deafening. But this is the first moment he is actually a king. The terror he feels is the weight of the crown. You are that king. You have fired the advisors, the system, the ego, the expectations of others. You are sitting in the empty throne room of your life. You feel incompetent. You feel paralyzed. Good. Stay there. Do not hire new advisors out of panic. Do not run back to the old ones begging for forgiveness. Sit on the throne. Look at the papers. Read them yourself. Make a decision. Even if it is a wrong decision, make it. It will be your decision. This is the path of authenticity. Martin Heidegger distinguished between das Man, the they, the one, and Eigentlichkeit, authenticity. To live in das Man is to live as one lives, doing what one does, reading what one reads. It is a life of chatter and curiosity, but no deep understanding. To live authentically is to own your existence. It is to own your death. It is to realize that no one can die for you, and therefore, no one can live for you. The numbness you feel is the distance between das Man and authenticity. You have left the crowd, but you have not yet found yourself. You are in the desert. But the desert is where the prophets go. The desert is where the visions come. The system is a machine of noise. It is designed to prevent you from hearing the signal. The silence you are currently enduring is not a lack of signal. It is the absence of noise. The signal is there. It is just very, very subtle. It speaks in the language of intuition. It speaks in the language of the body. Pay attention to your body in this phase. The body never lies. The mind lies constantly. The mind rationalizes. The mind says, I should take this job because it pays well. The body says, I feel sick every time I walk into that building. For years, you have ignored the body. You have overridden its signals with coffee, with willpower, with logic. Now, the body has pulled the emergency brake. That fatigue you feel, that is your body going on strike. It is saying, I will not take another step in the wrong direction. Honor the strike. Listen to the somatic wisdom. If you feel a contraction in your gut around certain people, pull away. If you feel an expansion in your chest when you do a certain activity, even if it seems trivial like gardening or painting or walking, move towards it. You are navigating by a new compass now. The North Star is no longer success. The North Star is resonance. Does this resonate? Does this feel true? If the answer is yes, follow it. If the answer is no, discard it, no matter how much money or prestige it offers. This is the only way to navigate the void without falling into nihilism. You must become a tracker of resonance. And as you track this resonance, you will begin to see the twist we spoke of earlier clearly. The twist is this. You thought you were losing your life. You thought you were falling behind. You thought you were broken. But in reality, you are the only one who is actually functioning. The people still running the race, still screaming for attention, still playing the game, they are the ones who are broken. They are the ones who are asleep. You have woken up in the middle of a sleepwalking colony. Of course you feel strange. Of course you feel isolated. The sane person in an insane asylum always appears insane to the inmates. You have stopped explaining yourself to the inmates. This is the first sign of sanity. Why would you explain the color blue to someone who has been blindfolded since birth and refuses to take off the blindfold? You are wasting your breath. Save your breath for your own journey. We are approaching the transformation point, the point where the lead turns into gold, the albedo, the whitening. After the blackness, negredo, comes the purification. The purification comes when you stop resisting the void and start trusting it. You start to realize that the void is not empty. It is full of potential. It is the quantum field before the particle collapses. You can be anything now, because you are no longer trying to be someone. Let's prepare for the final ascent. We have explored the problem, the pain, the biology, and the philosophy. We have stripped the house down to the studs. Now, we must talk about how to rebuild the house. Not a house of cards that the system can blow down, but a fortress of solitude and solidarity. Solidarity not with the crowd, but with the few others who have also woken up. They are out there. You are not the only one, but you will never find them if you are still pretending to be one of the sleepwalkers. You must fly your true flag, the flag of I don't know, the flag of I am done performing, the flag of I am seeking truth. When you fly that flag, the others will see it. They will find you, and the conversations you will have with them will not be the cardboard-chewing chit-chat of your past. They will be meals for the soul. But first you must endure the winter,